This is week 4 of Walking in This World, Julia Cameron's sequel to The Artist's Way, and I am Shallalla, a creativity coach who specializes in working with singers. If you are curious what it is like to work with a creativity coach, I offer free instant inspiration calls right now. There's a link in the description box to my calendar. You can just click on that and claim a slot. This offer will go away, so if you're watching this like a year from now in 2023, it definitely won't be there anymore, so take advantage of it right now. Walking in this world. This week's chapter is titled Discover a Sense of Adventure, and I'm here with writer and presenter Joe Holmes. Joe, how adventurous was this week for you?
Very, very adventurous. And I have to say that when I was thinking about what this week was like yesterday, I thought, oh no, I haven't really engaged with the artist way this week. I haven't sat down every morning and done morning pages. I haven't really been thinking much about what it is. And I thought, what was week 4? And then I looked back into the book and it said discovering a sense of adventure. And I thought, so this week has been perfect for that. And I remember when I was working through it at the start of the week, I remember what I was thinking about. And I think it happened. I think I read Discovering a Sense of Adventure. I thought about, okay, I need to be more adventurous. I need to stop saying no. I need to commit to things. I just need to go and try things and see what they're like and take the risk to be that adventurous and not worry about what might happen or not worry if things go wrong. And so I did that. And that's how I lost track of what was going on this week. Because on Monday, I did kendo, which is Japanese sword fighting, which was really fun. And it really was a sense of adventure because if you're given a sword made of bamboo and told to hit someone on the head with it, it's a comfort barrier where you, well, actually, let me put that into clarification. The people that you hit on the head are wearing helmets, so they're not really going to get hurt. But when you are training, you're doing it to somebody without a helmet and you've got to stop just above their head. And to me, that was quite a worry that you could just hurt someone. But then it was funny because then I was across from someone and I was looking in them in the eye as they were about to hit, like, raise a sword on my head. And when does that ever happen? And you think, you just meet someone's eyes and you think this is just completely bizarre,
Yeah.
but also quite fun because you're both having to trust each other. So that was fun. Then on Wednesday, I did archery, which I've done archery before, but not properly. I haven't really done range archery. I've just had a bow and arrow, put a few cardboard boxes or Amazon delivery boxes in the garden, tried to shoot them. And I've had the arrow on the right side of the bow instead of the left side of the bow, how you're meant to have it for safety reasons. But there we go. And I went to the archery taster session. It was the people who had never done archery before, had done a little bit, and they said, has anyone done archery before? And there wasn't many of us, and I didn't want to be the only one saying, yes, I have. So I said, no, I haven't done archery before. Thinking I was actually going to be bad, and I didn't want to say I had and then be really bad.
Yeah.
But there was all people standing over there with the big bows, and they had big sticks coming out of them, like sights, so they could weight it and use it to look for. And they were doing it, and they were missing the target. I get the bow, like my first attempt, and I go, bullseye, bullseye, bullseye. And the funny thing was, my distance eyesight hasn't gone that well, so I could see the target, and I could see they hit the target, but I couldn't see where the arrows had landed from a straight on perspective. So the person was, wow, that was really good. And I go in the stand and look and I think, wow, that was really good. So that was a sense of adventure where I was scared to go to the session because I was worried that I love archery. I love the concept of it, but I was worried that I was going to do it and be really bad, or think I was good and be bad. But I pretended to be bad and was good. I mean, I think that I mean, it wasn't a target massively far away. I'm not saying I'm that great, but just in terms of feeling good about it, it was worthwhile. And then on
Yeah.
Thursday night, it was around 11:30 p.m. in the evening. I was about to go to bed. I was just scheduling some posts on a social media account for a local newspaper I'm helping manage. I was finishing that off, about to go to bed, and then my phone was ringing and it was a video call on Instagram. And I'm like, well, who video calls me on Instagram? No one. I look and it comes up as like my best friend, and I'm thinking, wow, okay then. So I answered the video call at 11:30 p.m. expecting to be, something bad's happened or whatever, and it's actually a friend of his at the pub down the road from me. In 17 years of living here, I've never gone to. It's the most bizarre place. Friendly. I mean, it's friendly. You could say that, but it's not a pub where I'd say that most people go to, and even people that don't go to, because it's not well looked after. It's full of people that are strange in a way that not in a way that you'd be scared of them, but in a way that it's intimidating. And if you go to a pub in a city, you wouldn't expect that. It's more people coming and passing trade deals, or it's a very local place. Local people, local, very, very local. So I walked in, it was my friend, and then a friend of his, and then her friend. She had a chihuahua on her lap, which was a shock to see. They had the lady behind the bar, who's an elderly lady. And on Saturday night, I went back there because they had messaged me again to say, why don't you come, Jay? You only live down the road. And they said to me, we weren't actually expecting you to come, but it was obviously lovely that I did, but they weren't expecting me to be that spontaneous to just leave at 11 p.m. and go. But it's only a 2-minute walk from my house. So I felt a bit guilty. If I said no and they knew I was at home, it would be, well, I haven't done it. So I thought, they said I was very spontaneous, and I like that, because I wouldn't normally call myself spontaneous, and I'd normally think of something to say. But I'd met these people the other night and I thought they were nice people. It was a fun time. We were talking to the locals and having a laugh. Well, laughing at the stories they were telling, which were just bizarre. So that was incredibly amusing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, on Saturday night, the lady that was behind the bar sang in Chinese for a while, which was a peculiar experience, because in the middle, a guy that used to work in the local post office was singing alternate verses in English about people who were actually in the pub, in between her singing in Chinese. So it was just a real experience. And this lady who works behind the bar, she could not serve the drink. She didn't know what drink she had. I asked for a certain drink and she just wasn't sure. So my friends were going behind the bar to help her do it. It was just unbelievable. But my sense of adventure in this story on Saturday, not only was going there a sense of adventure, and it was almost an artist day, because I could have lots of writing material from this, but I ended up doing, on Saturday night, I did karaoke to a bar full of people.
How beautiful.
It wasn't full. I hadn't decided to do it. The guy doing the karaoke walked up to me and said, so apparently, Joe, you're singing Lady Gaga next. I'm like, am I? But by this point, someone who doesn't really drink, because I try to look after myself, so I don't pick up bad habits and things like that. But yeah. I was on this occasion, because I'd gone to this strange bar at 11 p.m. and I lived a short walk away. And so I ended up doing karaoke to Bad Romance. And I did the choreography too. And some of those people in the bar, I don't think they'd seen anything like it before.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous, because I do miss karaoke. And it's like, I'm not quite sure whether it is allowed regarding COVID, but also in the place where I live, there is no karaoke. You have to go to the next town, and the next town is like 40 minutes away on a train. So I really miss it. But I love what you said, when you said that you got so much writing material out of it. There is, Julia Cameron quotes Georgia O'Keeffe, where I got it. Georgia O'Keeffe wrote home, I got half a dozen paintings from that shattered plate.
Wow.
And she says someone else may simply have gotten a cleaning job. So instead of saying no, I'm not going to that, and I know exactly what type of bar you mean, like the pub in the corner where like all the weird folks hang out, and you're just like, I can't go in there. So I can absolutely relate to that, yeah. And so that's, it sounds like a very, very creative, like a creative, fun night or two, actually.
Yeah, because I just feel that in so long there hasn't really been any experiences that have. I'm not going. I want to say unsafe because I wasn't in danger, but it
Mhm.
was out of my safety zone. It was we've spent so long protecting ourselves for health reasons that every situation has just been necessary and safe.
Yeah.
And I haven't pushed myself to do anything extra. I haven't took any risks really in terms of going out and doing things. And that's a good thing too. But in terms of creativity, we sometimes want to make unsafe decisions to experiment and to be the best artist. So
Yeah.
I hadn't really, I mean, I was thinking about it at the time. I was thinking, wow, if I wrote a story about this place and handed it in for an assignment for my creative writing degree, the tutors would say it's unbelievable.
Mhm.
And then I'd say, I can take you there.
Mhm.
But I was telling somebody at uni about it at the cafe, and they said maybe you should stop with your novel and go and write this because we'd all read it. And I'm gonna convert it into a short story and dramatize elements and try and make it a bit more dramatic. But it was the characters and the strength of characters of people that are real people. But
Mhm.
if you wrote without seeing those real people, they would be completely, there'd be the stereotypes that people would write, and you would think that's a bit mean. But if you write them as people that you've seen, you obviously know all these people have good qualities because you're talking to
Mhm.
them, you're laughing, but you can see their flaws and you can see, what they want. I mean, for example, the lady who runs a bar, I mean, at her age, and I don't know if she should really be running it. It's not managed very well. She used to run it as a very, very good restaurant, but she won't let go of it. So
Mhm.
she has a
Mhm.
passion to serve these locals that don't feel comfortable drinking anywhere else. They told us that one of them said, if I go to another bar, people laugh at me. So this place feels like home to him. So she runs
Mhm.
it as a service to this small group of people and at the expense of herself and other customers. But there you can see these traits that if you put into characters, it would just work so well.
Mhm. There is definitely a lot to write about there, for sure. And I really like the way how your week turned adventurous, and that was the topic, and it was seemingly unrelated, but it's really very synchronous,
Yes,
synchronicitous,
something like that.
whatever
Anyway,
it is.
what was your week? Was your week adventurous? What was it like for you?
Well, I forced it. We can argue about the term adventure. So, as I said last week, I actually had a rough time with mental issues, and there was a moment there. I'm always waiting for that moment where I get so fed up with myself that I'm just okay. I can't do this anymore. It's like I can't be this sad, anxious blob anymore. And then I was like. Um, actually what works. Yeah, I know I feel better when I do artist dates. I hate it when I do them and it's like it's not working. It doesn't feel right. I'm like out of my comfort zone. And in the end, I always know that it works in the long run. And so I decided to put myself on a diet of artist dates, to have at least one per day. And the objection was to seek out joy, like to give myself or to create opportunities to experience joy. And actually, I made a couple of pictures, and I would like to share them with you.
I'd love to see them.
It's nothing really, nothing special. So, like with the very very first thing. So when I realized this. I don't want to be that sad person. The first thing that I did, it was like in the evening, I couldn't go out or anything else. So I looked into my kitchen cabinet and I found this powder that you use to make pudding. And I love pudding, but I never make it because it is so much work. because I'm more of an instant satisfaction, satisfaction,
Gratification.
instant
Yeah.
satisfaction. So the pudding has to stand like for half a day before it is edible, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna make pudding right now. So this is the result, and that's another artist date. Actually, I never buy whipped cream because I'm basically a vegan. So this is I used plant milk for the pudding, and but I bought a can of whipped soy cream, and oh my god, it's so much fun! You can have so much fun. I don't know which movie it was where there was this woman, the protagonist. She was actually she broke up with her boyfriend, and she was lying on the sofa, and everybody expected her to have a beer bottle in her hand, and to be completely drunk. And but actually, what she had in her hand was a can of whipped cream, and she would just like spray it right into her mouth. I'm not going to say that I did that, but I'm going to say that it is a lot of fun to do that. So the next day was actually I went to my favorite bakery and just got the most ridiculous. Is it a donut? I think it's a donut.
Yeah.
And I also went to my favorite thrift store. I love thrift stores, and so that was actually the reward for going to the thrift store. And I just spent €20 and I got like 10 pieces, including this jacket. And wearing this jacket is like an artist date
Yeah.
because it's so over the top, and I absolutely love it. And not quite sure whether I dare to wear it outside. We'll see about that.
I don't know. I think it suits you. I think you should, and it matches your hair as well, so it's even better.
It's my favorite color. So, and yeah. And there was a true moment of joy, like with when you go secondhand clothes shopping, there's always this moment. This is gorgeous. It's definitely not gonna be my size. And so I saw this, I saw the color, and I was like, and then immediately there was a voice, don't get too excited, it's not gonna fit you. And then I put it on and it fit. It's like a too large, but I don't care about that. And there was this jump of joy for a second. That was really nice. And on the 27th, I actually baked bread and
Uh,
cake. And I also, it's like sharing these is like this. These are artist dates. These are legitimate artist dates, and you don't have to be fancy or move yourself out of your comfort zone completely. It's like somewhere in the book she says this week, if we stop trying to improve ourselves and start trying to delight ourselves, we get further as artists. So this is me delighting myself.
and I think that's fantastic. And yeah, you're showing yourself that you care about yourself enough to make yourself happy and to
Yeah.
get out of your way a little bit.
So here I just got the flowers where they are actually closed, and they are, if you put them in water they start blossoming. I don't know what they are called in English.
Daffodils.
Those are daffodils, okay. And so I put them in water yesterday evening, and this morning they looked like this, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. So this is stuff that delights me, and this was actually kind of like my favorite. So I'm like very much like the donkey between the two stacks of hay. Like I don't know which way to turn, and so in the end I starve. And here it was like, oh, I really want to read like a novel and not just nonfiction. And then it was like, oh, I don't know what to read, and so I just took out all the books where I thought that might be interesting. I set the timer for 5 minutes, and I read 5 minutes in every book. And that way I kind of I figured out which one I wanted to read, because it was the one, no, I want to keep reading. And that was I think my favorite artist date, because I spent like an hour with all of these books. So
Which
almost
is actually a really interesting way to read, because we don't normally, we wouldn't normally read 5 minutes of a selection of books and then pick one.
yeah.
We'd kind of look and think, and then we might commit to one we're not that sure about, and then but by reading 5 minutes of each, you really do. I mean, it can be frustrating because you might want to read more than one, but it's a good way of looking at it from a different perspective and taking a look at those opening pages, especially from a writing perspective,
Yeah.
we focus on the plot, but looking at those openings and then comparing them, a lot's happening.
Yeah, but it was, I tried not to make it into a work thing. It was just like, what do I want to read right now? And for these, I don't have pictures. I forced myself to watch a comedian every single day. And that was kind of frustrating because there are so many bad out there. But in the end, I decided just to go with my favorite, and he never disappoints. So, and on the whole, I really have to say that things worked. Like, I can feel that things are getting a little bit easier, a little bit lighter. And in The Artist's Way, actually, Julia Cameron says something like, if you allow your artist child to play, it will allow you to write a business letter. And at the state that I was in, it was actually really tough to work. And unless I coach, when I coach, it's something completely different. But doing boring business stuff. There was this moment, this decision, okay, I can keep beating myself up for not being able to do that. Or I can actually allow myself to have fun and thus create the possibility of me getting to that. And I was actually able to do a bunch of the boring stuff. So
Which is
artist
amazing.
state diet, I can only recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the concept. I would be so nervous about sticking to it, but maybe I will. Maybe I will try something new, because I mean, I did multiple artist dates, but not on purpose, and they weren't intentional, which may be a grey area in terms of whether I actually did an artist date or not.
Yeah.
But I felt like I had a full enough week, and I feel like it really goes with what you said about not doing things not to improve yourself, but to delight yourself. And with The Artist's Way, I feel like if I think of artist dates as things that have got to improve me, then that's where I'm thinking about, well, as you say, with those books, and I said about, oh, it's a nice way of looking from a writing perspective, but that's a work thing, and we trick ourselves into doing things to improve ourselves or our abilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
In reality, we just got to make ourselves happy. And all of the crazy things I did last week meant that I did the other things. I mean, I probably wasn't the most productive I've been, but the things got done, and
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about them afterwards, where usually I would not be doing those crazy things and would just be doing everyday things. And then I would be forcing myself. I'd be like, okay, I need to do this, and then I wouldn't do it, and I have to do it later, and I'd be do this thing now. And then the following week, I'd be looking back and thinking about all of those things I made myself do, and I can't even remember, the emails I sent, the videos I filmed for different things.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember all of the work I did, even though I really enjoy the work. All I can remember is something about swords, shooting things, drinking things, and
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I really do. It's like and actually the way you talked about that pub, I can actually see it. So
yeah.
it
I'm
it
going to send
feels,
you some videos. I'll send you the video of me doing the karaoke, maybe without
yeah.
sound, because whereas you can sing, and so I'm sure you doing karaoke is a different experience to me. But I mean, there wasn't that many people there, and there was a couple of people that could sing,
Mhm.
but they were the person running the karaoke himself. He was a good singer, and another one. But in terms of the people I was with, the three people I was with, two of them were doing karaoke together, and they weren't even worried about the words. So,
Mhm, mhm.
whereas, I don't know, when I did the karaoke, I thought, well, watching it back, I thought, dear me, that voice, there's no melody whatsoever. Well, I'm sure it's better when I've done it at home, but it was so overwhelming because I'd never done karaoke before.
Oh
So,
wow.
never. So it was a first time thing. So that's why it was really adventurous, because I'd never put myself in that position. And then having that, I know the song so well. I can sing along to the song, but when there's no voice there, and you're
Mhm.
thinking, yeah, I know, I'm singing it, and there's where's Lady Gaga's background vocals? They're not there. this track sounds a bit weird and a bit different. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like the real thing because it's a karaoke version. And I just went out on the choreography, and I could feel like a little shake, like of nerves, but also got me through. And I thought, well, actually, the next day, I got a karaoke video, and I like went through the because I can't sing, but I just wanted to say I could have done that better. So I gave it a go.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Wow. First time karaoke. Yeah. That is definitely an adventure for sure.
Definitely.
There is one huge thing that I would like to talk about. It's the final essay in this week, the invention versus convention. Um, and actually, there is where my favorite quote comes from, which I'm just gonna read. It's a little bit longer, but not too long. So she makes the differentiation between artists as innovators and people who work with artists, like agents, managers, publishers, curators, producers, and so on. They are actually conservers, and that we as artists, we always have to fight for our right to innovate and not to get swayed to conserve. And here's the quote. As an artist and an innovator, we must always ask, how can we? We must always look for and find still another way to skin the cat, publish the book, shoot the film, stage the play. As artists, we are practitioners not of how it is done, but of how it could be done. We are charged with finding not the problems, but the solutions. As artists, we are concerned with making things, while conservers are often concerned with making do with the world as they find it. I think this is so important to understand the different positions and to understand that there will be always friction between the two of them.
Yeah, it's the different forces of life where we have different groups of people, as you say, in different roles, and then it's the forces internally where we're battling with ourselves and the reasoning we're making. And I remember the task for this. I did this yesterday morning, and I was doing the task, and I was doing the dialogue between myself, and I thought, well, yeah, but I know I'm thinking all of these. And then I thought, well, and what reading the example is the way they met in the middle. Whereas I was like, well, I wouldn't really meet in the middle. I would pick one depending on how I was feeling. But so I'll tell you what mine was. It was about having that convention and writing at home on my own, in my room, at my desk, or whether I should be innovative and go and sit in a cafe at uni and write there. And because I know in September, which is an awful long time ago, for a few days I had a very good structure where I went to uni, sat and write. But now the weather's not so good, I haven't really done that. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking of trying and going and do it again. I was thinking, well, if I go in the cafe, then I have to buy a coffee. And then I'm going, well, that would be a small price to pay. And then I'm going back with myself and thinking, okay, but what happens if there's no room? Okay, I need to come up with a backup plan. And so just these little reasonings. And I think this is the most bizarre small situation that I'm arguing about in my head. But
Yeah.
instead of doing one of those things, I'm not writing at home right now, and I'm not writing at uni right now. In fact, I'm sat here writing this argument in my head. But if I wasn't writing this argument, it would still be an argument in my head, whether I was writing it down or not.
In one word, we call it overthinking. Yeah, and I know it quite well because I've never done it, but I read a lot of books about it. Yeah, getting out of the head and getting into the body, it's so important. It's really important. Speaking of tasks, did you do the drawing yourself to scale? Did you draw something?
I didn't. That's the only one I didn't do
Yeah.
because I'm very apprehensive about that. And I thought, well, what do I draw?
Interesting. So we're back into the overthinking.
Yeah, did you do that task?
Well, I mean, she has a similar task in The Artist's Way, and I did that for a couple of times. I think maybe 3 years out of the, or 3 years out of the 10 the times that I did it. And I look at those images now, and she's correct. I'm immediately back into the situation. Although my drawings are absolutely awkward, I can't draw at all. And this I was actually a little bit behind, and I think I read that Friday, and it was like, well, it's kind of too late now to start carrying excuses. And so I actually went on a train, and I was okay. I could draw right now, or I could just write everything that I see, like write down really everything that I see, like as if I was drawing it. And I did that, and I wrote for the whole 40 minutes, and it was like 5 or 6 pages. And I know I'm really looking forward to discovering those pages in a couple of years, because I know it will take me back right there.
Wow. And
So,
yeah, that's such an interesting concept, because I feel like that with technology now, say of all the things I've done, I've taken photos and videos, but that's a very concrete thing, and that's not a creative way of representing it. It doesn't have your emotion in it. I mean, you might remember how you were feeling, you might be able to guess, but when you're noticing things with your eyes and your mind and your brain, and you're communicating that in written form, or you're drawing it, what the image you have in your mind is a much more abstract version of that, but it will help you construct it, because it would be the
yeah,
perfect blueprint for your own mind and thinking.
yeah, yeah. I used to do that all the time. Like when I wrote morning pages and I didn't know what to write, I would just start describing whatever was in front of me. And rereading that always is like, it's like owning my life, like really owning it. It's like, yes, I remember that cup. And it's like, I remember like the contrast between the red cup and the white table, stuff like that. So it's really, I understand where Julia Cameron comes from and what she wants to, this task to accomplish. So that was really beautiful. I didn't do the strike up a dialogue, because that's like, it was just like, yeah, I'm doing that all the time. I don't need a task for that. So it was like, and plus, I don't really have like a topic where I'm, shall I not? So,
Yeah, and to be honest, I felt the same with you. I just thought I had to do it because I hadn't done the drawing one. I thought, I need to do at least the other ones. So I did it anyway. That wasn't really a current battle. I wasn't really had that argument, it wouldn't have even been on my mind had I not done that. But I was thinking, well, what thing is something that has two opposite opposes that are more like a conventional? And I thought of that. I think it's because one of the examples or something in the essay was about a studio. So I was thinking about how, the convention is of a writer sat at home writing on their own, and they had about someone being lonely in the studio. And I thought, well, to be honest, does it really work for me? Would it work for me long term? It might have worked perfectly for me over the past few years. It's been exactly how I've wanted to write. But if I did it as a thing where I did it for longer periods during the day, if I did it as a much more structured time, would I want to do it at home? Would I want to rely on myself to do it at home? And I thought, well, no.
yeah, interesting. How about the task, the secretly I would love to? Did that come, like, when she talks about forbidden delights, and like secretly I would love to, and then we were supposed to finish that sentence 10 times.
I find these ones really difficult, because I don't know that any of these things I consider a secret, because they're not. So are they secret from other people? Are they secret from myself? And I don't really keep secrets from myself. I don't really suppress the things I would love to do, which is a really good thing. And I know I do things that people would suppress, say, like, certain creative projects. People think, oh, that's a secret desire. Oh, I've always wanted to do this. I'm like, just do it. And I'm someone where I will just do that. So when I did those, I was reflecting on things I'd done recently and what I wanted to do more of. And a couple of the things that weren't secrets to me, but say like I want to go on like a couple of holidays on my own and explore. So I wrote down that, for example.
Mhm.
Then I didn't feel it was a secret. How about when you do tasks like that or that task? Did you find that they were secrets from yourself?
Yes and no. So there are a couple of things where I think, yeah, that is like, if you would ask me, do you want that? I would say no. But when I go, I'd secretly like to, or I would love to, then I think, yeah, yeah. So, but they are very, very few. But this time I actually had. I have a bunch of guitars standing around here, and a ukulele, and I just don't play. And struck me kind of as kind of curious because I wrote down I would love to play flute. And I don't know the correct word where you play like this.
That's it.
Is it just flute? Okay, in German it's Querflöte. And as a child, of course, I would play the recorder, and I was actually pretty good. I was really good at playing the recorder. And so I advanced. Like I had not just the €5 instrument. I had a really good recorder, and the piccolino and stuff like that. And I always wanted to play the flute. And of course, we're not going into my family history, but it wasn't possible. And I was thinking I could do that now, and I think that would actually more be to my liking than having all these guitars and never playing, because I'm definitely not a guitar player. And so I went on a Google research, and checked instruments, beginner instruments. I checked whether there's lessons available like here in my area and stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting. And also, it was secretly, I would love to do theater again, which was also, it's not a secret. I know that I want to do that, but I don't pursue it right now. So I just wrote it down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still haven't found a solution for that. I would love to find a solution. Um, I don't have one yet, but I can feel the wheels in my head, like, yeah, looking for solutions to those
Yeah,
desires.
I think that's wonderful, and I feel like with the flute, it's something that was unexpected because it's not something that would weigh on you significantly. It's not something that
Correct.
would bother you, but the way that you managed to think of it, to write it down, is okay. Well, maybe I mean, there's no harm in trying doing that, but then whether you actually do it, because practicalities is a different thing, but
Yeah.
being aware of it's always an interesting way of finding things that you want to do. Kind of did my own task in terms of writing down possibilities of artist dates, because I mean, I need to take a page out of your book and think of the things you were doing and try and do some of those, because I was just putting things that were, it's so easy for me just to put things down like writing or, but I'm like, no, these aren't artist dates, these are doing artist things, and you're just
Hmm.
making yourself do them. But I came up with a list, and that's been more helpful. Things like drawing and coloring and things like that I'm trying to push into things that I wouldn't normally do.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I had enough artist dates last week without calling them artist dates, but
Yes.
but then it's a thing of, I didn't do any of those things on my own, but I don't know. I feel like the way I am at the moment is, I got used to being comfortable on my own for a time where we spent a lot of time on our own, and that was good. And I learned to be very happy on my own. And there's still things that I want to do on my own. But now when I want to make use of being young and do things with other people and be, doesn't have to be I'm doing things with other people. Say like the archery and the kendo. I didn't go with anyone I knew. I went
Hmm.
there, but it was a class and it was surrounded by people. And so I felt that was a beneficial experience. So where I stand with my artist dates, I'm going to take away that barrier, because I feel like what would be more beneficial to me is doing
Hmm.
things with people, because it challenges another side of myself, which I think that everything I do allows me to run away from.
That makes a lot of sense. There, like pre-COVID, I was actually thinking about changing artist dates for me in the sense of having to do something once per week with other people.
Yeah.
So to have that, and then like my intro, all the parts of me that are introverted are like, really, once per week? That is a lot. Like, maybe can we start with once per month? So yeah, I absolutely hear you. Yes, and I think it's important to be able to enjoy your own company and to be able to inspire yourself. Oh, I completely forgot. I watched so many documentaries. So comedians and documentaries, those were my go-tos. And speaking of getting inspired, I think there's nothing more inspiring than watching just a bunch of documentaries. And
100% agree with you.
so I was really seeking out joy and everything to put positivity into my mind hard last week, and it worked. So I think on the other hand, like, it's important to be able to be by yourself and to do stuff by yourself and to have the balance of doing stuff with other people as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about the balance, and
Mm.
you need to look at your. And I think it's because I think the majority of people are doing lots of things with other people and not taking the time for ourselves. And I feel like we can easily be the other way because we've done that. I mean, there was a time where I didn't like to do anything by myself, but then I did do things by myself. I was very happy with that. And then COVID happened, and then I was doing things by myself and didn't have a choice. And now I'm back to a choice, luckily, in my country. And I mean, you're saying that you wouldn't be saying that things like karaoke, you wouldn't have that locally to you anyway. So I'm thinking, well, if I've got that, I may as well make the most of it. And they have like covers on the microphones, and they sound,
Ah,
it's
yeah.
safer. But it's funny. I knew I'd been drinking when he said, okay, you keep the cover for the microphone and give the microphone back. And I went to go and give him the cover back and walk back.
I'm very sure you're not the only person who who did exactly that. But yeah, wherever I go, I still haven't figured out where I want to live. But wherever I go, there has to be karaoke for sure.
Yeah.
And by now, I have to say, I wouldn't mind doing the hosting job again. Maybe not 3 times a week, but maybe like once per month as an artist date. Yeah, that would be awesome. Is there a quote that you would like to share from this week?
Yes. From Walt Whitman, to
Yeah.
me, every hour of the light and dark is a miracle. It's about those that I mean, we always see the light as a miracle, and the dark, it's a gray area. Sometimes we enjoy it, we savor it, we learn things from dark times or when the time is dark. But this applies to my week because when it gets dark, I don't normally go out. I just that's me done for the day. I think, well, there's nothing to do that I enjoy during the night time. So I read that as a very literal meaning. So like, oh, I love it. I can do things now. And then when it gets dark, okay, it's time to watch TV and go to bed and read or whatever. And well, I went out in the dark, and that habit was kind of something I consider like a dark experience, in terms of light. Maybe it'd be go to a restaurant where there's lots of bubbly people, just be at home. And then it was the opposite option. It was a different thing that I'd consider. It's a dark place to go. I mean, it's a bit shady, but I found fun in it. I found a way to enjoy it. And it just shows you that even those strange experiences that you wouldn't normally think good, I mean, in this case, just found a lot of laughter and entertainment, because I mean, we were not laughing at people in a horrible way, but kind of laughing with them at all of our different experiences and just how crazy the combination was. I mean, they were laughing too, but you just thought, well, the amount of laughing we did, and if you were watching on a comedy program, you'd feel a bit guilty laughing, or you'd generally be laughing at people, but we were there and laughing at people. And you don't get to do that very often. You don't get to just think this is completely crazy, let's just laugh about it.
Yeah.
And everyone was just, I mean, because they weren't expecting a bunch of, I don't know, I'm 19, but the others were like 20, and they just weren't expecting us to walk in there.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was a shock for them too. So it was just a bizarre experience. Yeah.
I love it. And this week was not as I mean, week 3 was just everything for me. So it was really hard. Week 4 has had tough competition for sure.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I love the idea of thinking in innovators and conservers. I think it helps a lot to understand the fundamental difference between a writer and an agent. And I am really looking forward to week 5, discovering a sense of personal territory.
Yeah. I'm
That
looking
sounds like
forward
fun.
to
Although maybe not so necessary with having a pandemic going on, and
That's true.
we'll see. Final words. I hand the mic to you.
Final words.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like, as you say, those ideas of conserver and innovator, they're important because I remember being in class and our lecturer talking to us about making a business out of being a writer or being an artist. And they said, well, these people aren't always your friends. They have jobs to do, see it like that. And I feel like that's helpful. Think about your role and think about your role in life. And I did so many things that I wouldn't normally do. And I've spoken about them at great length. And usually I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it was because I did things that I wouldn't normally consider my role to do. And they were things that involve an adventure and having fun, something that isn't practical, productive, useful, and just going for it and seeing what it's like. And I would say you can always just laugh about it. If you buy daffodils and the daffodils don't open up or whatever, you've had an experience.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you very much, Joe, for this conversation. And I see you next week.
Thank you very much.